Hey everybody, Danny Rubino here at Windows Phone Essential. We have a New Year's Eve surprise for you guys. It's a Nokia Lumia 1320, just showed up at our door. Figured we'd give you guys a nice unboxing tour, go over the specs, and basically just tell you what this device is all about. So what makes this so unique? This is the first Windows Phone 8 device that could be considered a budget phablet. So it has a 6-inch display, which of course is pretty massive, and that should sound a lot like the Lumia 1520. Which is definitely its bigger, more expensive older brother, you can say. The 1520, though, is probably the most high-end Windows Phone you can definitely get on the market today. Whereas the 1320 takes some of those features and, waters them down a little bit to make it more affordable. So let's take it out of the box here, and you can see that massive 6-inch display. Of course, what makes a difference here, this is the 1280 by 720 as opposed to 1920 by 1080 that's found on the 1520. So you are getting a lower resolution display, but you're still getting the Corning Gorilla Glass, super sensitive touch, and clear black and all those other things. Going on the back there, you get a 5-megapixel camera, which is obviously a lot smaller than the 20-megapixel that is found on the 1520 as well. However, this device goes for about $400, which is obviously a lot cheaper than, say, a 1520 off contract. Now, let's see if I can figure out how to take all this plastic off. And we can take a closer look, and you can see it's booting up right there. Now, interestingly enough, this device is slightly taller and slightly thicker than the 1520. It's kind of hard to see there, but it is about a millimeter thicker, and it is even slightly heavier at 220 grams versus 209 versus the 1520. The 1520, though, is not a heavy device, and neither really is this one, especially since this is sort of all spread out over everything, and we'll just sort of go through the screens here. This is going to take a few minutes while this boots up. Anyways, we'll come back to that. Let's take a tour of the device there. You got the 3.5mm headset jack on top. Like I said, there's your 5-megapixel camera on the back. Obviously a lot smaller, not a pure view as well. And you have a single tiny little LED flash there as well. Going down there, you have the speaker. Micro USB on the bottom. You can see the buttons on the side, the same color as the device itself, which is sort of a new thing that they're kind of doing. And then going over here, and everything else is hidden. So it looks like these, this cover pops off, and we could put the micro SIM in there. And it also takes micro SD, which is a good thing because this only comes with 8 gigs of storage. So that is pretty low. Now, if you're thinking this device is a sister to the 1520, you'd be right. But check this out. Here is a Lumia 625. Look how closely similar those devices are. I would say the 625 and the 1320 are more direct siblings than the 1520 and the 1320. Obviously, you get the bigger screen here, but now the 625 is, the 620 upgrade kind of, and it has a much bigger display. This is a 4.7-inch display, whereas this one comes in a massive 6-inch. And you can see 6 inches definitely is a huge increase, much more space there. You can also see the difference there, even with the displays off with clear black versus a non-clear black display. It makes a big difference with the screen. So both devices feel exactly the same and otherwise are very, very similar. You can even see it's very faint there, but you can see the Nokia labeling, not as dark as on the 625. Let's take a look here at the box. So you're going to get your normal stuff. This is the international version, so you get your little cards and intros. And I imagine there'll be some headphones and a charger here. So yeah, you get your international charger, USB, and some headphones. So that is that. We're going to now boot up and set up this device and throw in a SIM card, and we'll come back and give you a quick OS tour and go over some more specs. Okay, and we're back here with the Nokia Lumia 1320 all booted up and set up. And as you can see, we got the glance screen rocking there with notifications, which if you follow Windows Phone should tell you something that this has basically Update 3 and the Lumia Black firmware installed, so you get that. This also has Bluetooth 4.0, which is really good, so you can use it with the Adidas heart rate monitor, and forthcoming products from Nokia and Fitbit and every other company will eventually work with this device. Overall, really good phone. I'm pretty happy with it. Let's turn on the display there. Now, this is the international version, and I do have an AT&T SIM there, so it does work on AT&T's network, but you can see I'm only rocking HSPA. Sometimes I get HSPA Plus too, depending on my location here. No LTE, although this device does support LTE in certain markets. As you can see, there's a display there that is a 1280 by 720 TrueKey at 6 inches. You can see though with the clear black and everything, it's actually a really good display considering the lower resolution. I'm not a resolution fascist here. I do happen to really like the Lumia 1520 with the 1920 resolution, no argument there. But I can't say that, having this display on here is necessarily worse. It's not as good, of course, but it is not detrimental to the user experience. And so overall, it's pretty impressive. As you can see there, everything just looks really, really good. So what else are we talking here for specs? Well, like I said, you got 8 gigs of internal storage, which leaves you just over 4 of actual user availability to install apps. So that's not a whole lot of space. So this is sort of a budget phone. Like I said, it's about $400 off contract in most markets that it is coming to. This is, of course, running, I said, update 3 with the Lumia Black profile. So we can hop into, say, about, and you can kind of see that there. It's version 10.5.7. 10.5.17, which is not the latest version of the OS. Technically, there's one higher than that, but that one is just for OEMs, has some certain fixes, so no new features there. But you do get driver mode in here and all those cool update 3 features. This does have data sense on board because this is an international phone, so that's pretty nice. You got your usual assortment of apps here, including, look at this, you get some interesting things preloaded, LinkedIn, and Molly-Player. So Molly-Player is a real interesting app. If you guys follow WP Central, we've been talking about it a lot. It is basically a universal media player. It plays all sorts of video formats, including MP4s and DivX and all those kind of things. It is made in conjunction with Nokia, so they've given some of their support to it, and it's why you can access your media library and everything. It's a really good app, and it's really cool to see that preloaded on this device because you do want, a good video player for a 6-inch display. It totally makes sense. Other than that, you get your usual Nokia apps here. Now, this is a 1 gigabyte of RAM device, so you have no limitations on apps you can run. So I could install Subway Surfers on here or, other games. It will have no issues except for space. Now, rumor has it in Windows Phone 8.1, you will be able to install apps and games to the micro SD card, or at least it's being worked on. So hopefully that won't be a problem for too long, as this device should be getting 8.1 as well. Overall, though, it is a really nice phone. You do have a 3400 milliamp battery in there, which is the exact same size as the 1520s. Although, ironically, the 1520, even though it's spec'd at a higher processor, it's a quad-core 2.2 gigahertz, gets slightly better battery life. That's because of the smaller chipset on the new Snapdragon 800. This, however, rocks a Snapdragon S4, which is slightly older, but it is clocked at 1.7 gigahertz, which is kind of unique because most Windows phones so far have been S4s at 1.5 gigahertz. So you actually are getting a slightly faster processor with this device, and that's sort of nice. It won't be as quick as a 1520, of course, but you are getting something that will perform well. In fact, we can probably launch Molly-Player here, although I don't have any videos loaded up, but you can sort of see that here, including the facts. But everything does load pretty snappy. We could do the here maps, probably have me try download. But you can see everything works very well here. I'll give the camera a spin and put a couple samples up there. Being a 5 megapixel shooter, we're not expecting too much. You do get a front camera there, so that's really good for, using Skype and those kind of apps there. Other than that, though, a pretty good device. For $400, you're getting a nice 6-inch Windows display there with the latest version of Windows Phone 8. This will get 8.1 hopefully sometime in mid-2014. And there you go. Now I'm going to do a full review of this device hopefully in a couple days, so head to WP Central for more information and to follow up on that. If you have questions, leave them for us. We'll try to answer. Take care, everybody.